Welcome to the Sports Show. I'm Andy Marks.
And I'm Byron Saucer.
Byron, we are getting close to district playoff time. Last Friday was a night in which a couple of teams took serious steps towards wrapping up that playoff spot. One of them you witnessed. That was the Dunnellon Tigers with a big rival win over at Ned Love Field.
Yeah, I tell you, it was my first chance to see Dunnellon this year, and boy, they look good. A lot of speed and tough. You know, on the defensive side of the ball, that offensive line is very active, very physical. I was impressed by them, and the running backs, you know, starting with Bubba Black, who now has 1,500 plus. Just an outstanding group of athletes over there, and I think without question they're over the hump this year. They're going to get in the playoffs, and I think as the district winner, and I don't know, I think the sky's the limit for this team. I think 2-3 rounds of the playoffs is almost a slam dunk from what I saw the other night, because I think Crystal River's a very good team. You know, Trevon Brooks is a good running back. You know, they pounded him all night, but when that Dunnellon defense needed to bow up and get a stop, that's exactly what they did. Very impressed across the board.
Yeah, it has the look of being a different Dunnellon team. It used to be that they could rise up, play North Marion tough when they had to, but then they'd disappoint you at some point in the year. Right. This team seems to have elevated to where they're just good, period. So we'll see. I'd like you said, I'd like to see them win a couple of playoff games and really start to send some shockwaves around the state that this is a power program. Time will tell if that happens or not.
And it's nice, you know, to have North Marion and Dunnellon in separate 3A districts now, because we can get a couple of district winners in there. So, yeah.
Could be a thriller of a Week 2 playoff game is Dunnellon and North Marion. I'll look forward to hopefully seeing that. Speaking of North Marion, they were at Booster Stadium. A really fantastic rivalry game between North Marion and Vanguard. It hasn't been a district game in recent years. It was this time. I got to say, I haven't spent a lot of time at Booster Stadium in the past few years because Vanguard's kind of been struggling a little bit.
And we had the sinkhole.
The sinkhole was an issue as well. Our videographer Kamal Hostin and I can both attest. I think this was a really exciting environment for high school sports. The stadium was packed. The fans are kind of on top of you. Vanguard and North Marion really do care if they beat each other or not. And it was a close game. North Marion came out and ran the ball kind of at will. But Vanguard didn't quit, and they got back into the game. And while their offense had been quieted by the North Marion defense for the first half, in the fourth quarter when it mattered, Quentin Hitchcock drove the team down the field. A couple of big pass plays to Takeem Platt, and the Knights all of a sudden had the ball with 2 minutes to go and a chance to win. Did not get it done. It was a workmanlike win for North Marion. One, in fact, that Craig Damon, I think, was not that thrilled about. But Vanguard, I mean, I think they have to look at that game, even with the loss, and view it as maybe their most serious sign of marked progress yet this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think Alex Castaneda and his bunch just keep getting a little better. And you're right, what a great rivalry. I mean, every year it's like that, whether it's at Stantoul or Booster. And, you know, Vanguard always seems to play North Marion tough, even when they shouldn't, you know. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case this year, but as I was poring over the stats this morning, you know, it was really slanted in North Marion's favor. But, you know, Vanguard found a way to dig deep in there and make it a good game. And I look for more of that from Vanguard. They still have a great chance to get in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with that district.
Yeah, and you know, there was a statistical disadvantage. A lot of that, by the way, was Jamie Gilmore, who was just blazing up the field in the beginning of the game. But it wasn't an accident that Vanguard got back into it. They've got some playmakers. One of them's P.J. Williams. Yeah. One of them's Leo Burgess. They both got hustle touchdowns. It was a kickoff return and a fumble recovery, and they were the alert team that was hitting the gaps, getting to the ball, and making the big game-changing plays. And I don't think that close game was a fluke. I think Vanguard's a good team now. So you're right. They'll have to beat Bellevue, and if they do that, they will get in, barring a upset scenario with North Marion and Eastside. We're looking forward to that game. So let's move on. Another team that seems to have a firm grip on their playoff destiny is Trinity Catholic. This was another Trinity blowout. I don't want people to lose in the 57-14 score. The fact that Williston came in ranked, I think, in the state, are getting a lot of votes.
Yeah.
5-1 team, quality win.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, it wasn't a surprise that Trinity scored 57. Frankly, it was a surprise that Williston only scored 14. That was a surprising thing to me. And, you know, I think I got the stat 19 tackles for loss, 7 quarterback sacks for the Trinity defense. So they're coming along. And clearly, Cadron Boone and Gray Crow are on the same page now. Boone's having just a fantastic year this year. Kedrick Rhodes ran for 200 plus. Just the usual suspects over there. But guys getting it done. And I think you're right. I think maybe that Newberry game was the one when the lights kind of came on over there, and ever since then they've been in postseason form. So, and not only Trinity, but another team that looks like they have a firm grasp is Lake Weir.
Absolutely. We are looking forward now to a huge game week from Friday. Lake Weir is going to go to Citizens Field and play Gainesville, and that could be the biggest Lake Weir win in Lake Weir history if that happened. Don't want to gloss over their win over Lecanto, though. I think they probably they gave up a couple of big plays that they'd like to have back, but it was a routine throttling by that offense led by Tracy Curry.
Yeah, and we get caught up in doing that. Well, they never started 3-0, now 4-0. We're past all that now. I mean, we're looking at possibly 9-1 district champs after this game with Gainesville. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is. I mean, for someone who's been around here 6-7 years and watched that program struggle, it's what a phenomenal job Mark Hennethon's done, and Tracy Curry you mentioned, and just a bunch of guys over there. Jeremy Cook's a beast at linebacker. Both those running backs are nice. Walter O'Neal, Deontay Jenkins. And Kyle Whiteman had a big night, 2 touchdown grabs. So, it's a nice supporting cast, a great coaching job, and a difference maker like Tracy Curry.
Right, a good coach and a good senior leader at quarterback. You can't replace those two things, and I think Lake Weir's got them both. Let's move on. Bellevue, we were still talking about them having some faint hopes. They to make the playoffs, they had Eastside come into town. Those hopes are squashed.
Yeah, they're dashed for sure. In Eastside, we'd seen this. In some losses, we'd seen the talent level still there at Eastside, and frankly, Bellevue. I didn't know how they were going to mirror that. They weren't able to, and it is what it is. I mean, Eastside now Eastside. This could be that game that gives them a little confidence for when North Marion comes calling, and that's the problem with the Colts. I mean, you start off with the #1 team in the state, in St. Augustine, and you end up with a team like Eastside. You still have to beat them to make sure you're in. It's no soft spots in the schedule. It's like navigating the SEC or something. But I know you don't agree with that, but
Eastside will beat you. They may not have a great record this year. They've got good athletes. They've got good tradition. They've got a good coach also in Ken Johnson. If North Marion looks at a 3-5 or a 4-5 record and think, oh, we got this one easily, they'll lose. Eastside has players that can beat you. So that's a game to circle on your calendar. Similar to Bellevue, we had a disappointing shutout loss in the county over at Westport. They played a team in a program that I think is just a little further along than they are right now. They got spanked a little bit. But I think they've made the progress this year that they needed to make, and I think there's still room for another win down the road.
I agree, and I think we talked about it a little bit. Springstead knows what they want to do. That's the difference. This staff's been around. They know what they want to do. Maybe they don't have the players that they normally do. Maybe they're not as far along, but they have something to hang their hat on. I don't think Westport's quite there yet. So, like you said, though, nice strides for the Wolfpack.
That's right. So let's take a moment to congratulate and admire the OCA Crusaders. Wrapped up an undefeated regular season. This is something that you predicted before the season started. Right. It happened, and it happened easily.
I do have the gift, that's for sure. The Crusaders cruise. And what's odd now is they beat this team 50-0. Now next week in the first round of the FCC playoffs, they get this same team.
Right.
Now if you're Providence Christian, can you imagine having to make this trip again after the 50-0 spanking? So I'm going to try to get out there Friday night and see these guys before we get heated up in the FHSAA playoffs. I'd like to get a close look at this team because what a fantastic job. And when we talk about the struggles like we had, OCA, much of the same thing.
Right.
So great job by Butch Etheridge and his staff. Now over at Forest Field, as these other teams are making those strides to get in the playoffs, the Wildcats the last couple of weeks have really taken steps backwards. And I just don't know how they'll get in now. I guess mathematically they have a chance, but they have to go to Orange Park that just knocked off this Sandalwood team to beat them 30-10, and Orange Park just seems to be the class of the district. So, a promising. It was a tough start, a promising middle for Forest, and another letdown here. So. It looks like the Wildcats are out of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, they have some good football players, and that showed up in some of these games along the way. But I think what happened was the nerve center of their offense went down in the first game of the year.
Yeah.
That was quarterback Zach Welch. They were left scrambling for answers, putting people that had never played quarterback at quarterback. I think they fought admirably and tried as hard as they could with the tools they had. It wasn't their year. Unfortunately, injuries happened, and I don't see Forest being alive in the postseason. They could stun you and I by beating Orange Park,
sure.
And we'll be the first ones to say we were wrong and congratulate them, but that's a tough task. I think they're playing for pride at this point. They'll also have a big game against Vanguard at the end of the year. We'll see. Keep your heads up out there and show us that we didn't give you enough credit, and we'll be thrilled to cover that first Forest playoff game. And finally, St. John. This is a team that is heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
Got their third win. They're playing conference play, looking at 500 or better.
Yeah, really tough start for the Saints, but Dennis Minier, who I guess this is 141 he got Friday night, has those guys turned around and a couple of easy wins the last 2 weeks, so who knows?
Yeah, no, it's impressive. So games matter more and more every Friday now as we go forward. We got some big ones happening this week. Don't forget to go out and visit your favorite stadium. If you can't do that, we'll be back next week to tell you what to look forward to, and you can always track high school football at ocala.com.